Hello, welcome back to Affordable Door and Gate. I'm starting off the video today with an email I've condensed significantly, both to protect this person's privacy, and it was a really long email. So I went through the information, and then I'm going to read you kind of what I've condensed it to. We're going to call this guy Marvin, just so you know. That's going to be his name. So Marvin has been with the same company for close to 10 years. He says, in my opinion, it's a larger company and has a good reputation. However, I've recently heard and experienced a few things that seem to indicate that this company will soon no longer be a place I want to be a part of. Again, without going into complete specifics, I make pretty decent money at around $80,000 a year. And I feel like I have capped out my growth potential financially there. Or I guess that'd be rather my financial potential there. Anyhow, you get it. A mentor of mine now works for another company who I'd classify as a smaller company with a large growth potential. They use a completely different pay model than I'm used to, using an A1, upsell, higher prices, performance model. Here, I feel like I have more potential for growth, both within the company as well as financially. This requires more client interaction than I'm used to, but I feel like it could be a good thing. Something else I've been considering is starting my own company. I have not taken the proper steps to do this, and I am not even sure if this is the best option at this time, though I will say I would eventually like to be in this spot. I do have a wife, a couple of kids, a mortgage, and all that goes with that, plus some consistent medical needs for one member of my family. To be blunt, I have not done any side jobs, nor would I expect to leave my current place of employment before 6 months. Part of the appeal of starting my own business is the ability to leave it for my kids in the future, and of course, flexibility in my schedule if needed. Any help in discerning which option may be the better choice at this time is appreciated. Thanks, Marvin. I'm going to pass it right on over to Dave. See you guys later.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you to my beautiful wife. She does a wonderful job. She's an amazing person. So a couple things I'm going to bounce around, some good, some bad in business and whatnot. I don't really have a direct answer for our customer here. We'll say our client for the email. But here's the thing, one thing you might want to consider is if things are changing in the business and there's a different ownership and stuff like that, you might want to think about maybe not signing non-compete. Maybe you're already in a non-compete. Maybe you want to readjust the terms a little bit, depending on the situation. Now, coming from a business owner, you got to understand that it's really tough when you're on the other side of the fence and you're investing a lot of time and energy and money into these employees. The last thing you need them to do is to threaten you and go, I'm going to go work for myself. I'm going to go over to this other company, because it's not like you can open up their brain and pull that stuff out and say, well, that's fine. I'm going to give this to the next guy that walks in the door. And sometimes you can spend a couple months, sometimes a couple years, and these people get these ideas. And you know what? From a business aspect of it, from a business owner, hey, it's one of those things. At the end of the day, I about 99% guarantee most of them want to be good friends when you leave on good terms. But there's a lot of people out there that greed. Everybody has greed, but greed gets to some people a little bit more, and they think they want to do stuff without being honest or telling the truth, and they'll start doing stuff, stealing and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the reason. It's really tough. I've had employees before that have done businesses, and I've told them, I said, it's not like you started up a shoe company. I said, now that you're doing a garage door company, I have to worry about, are you going to take my springs? Are you going to take my rollers? Are you going to take my garage door remotes for one of your customers? It gets to be really tough. So just a non-compete is something to consider. Maybe you want to renegotiate that in your contract. I can tell you, if you got family to take care of, right? Because as you grow, see, it seems like in business, it's kind of not always, right? But in a nutshell, it's easier to do it when you're kind of younger. But if you got a family established and you have any kind of medical bills and you need that security and you're the breadwinner, it's really super, super, and I mean super duper tough to be in business, especially if you don't have something that's built, you don't have the clientele, you're not seasoned, because a lot of times, even my family still doesn't understand a lot of the battles. You know what I mean? Even your wife can kind of understand and sympathize with you a little bit, but they're not out there holding the gun, man. They're not out there dealing with the wolves that are trying to attack you. They're not dealing with bullets coming back at them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they really can't ever grasp what really, really goes on. So what I'm kind of saying is, in a nutshell, I've looked over the years, and to some degree, I could have probably made better money in a sense, easier, less stress, working for a company. There is benefits. I'm not saying there's none, because there's tax advantages and things like that. There's a slight freedom to it, but it's kind of skewed because in business, you're always in fear that you're not gonna have enough money for yourself, for your family, for your employees. I mean, there's always this fear factor, right? Sometimes that's a good thing. It's a motivation. Sometimes it's a bad thing because you lose sleep. You don't sleep that good at night sometimes. So you might want to consider staying in with a company of some sort. Maybe you work it out. Like I said, it's good to be honest. I'd keep receipts if I was to do it. Like I said, I tell you guys, even if you're doing a side hustle or something, keep the receipts. That way you can prove that you're not stealing from the company. You say, look, and because everybody's going to find out. I always told all my workers, I say, I might find out in a couple of days. I might find out in a week, but I'm going to find out. I'll find out in a couple of years, because everybody in town, right? Like Muskegon I always call it the biggest small town, right? Because everybody talks. Everybody's got this. They got a mouth, and they yak, and they talk about this person. And it's gotten even more because now we have Ring cameras. We have cameras on garage door openers. We have cameras everywhere on cell phones, you name it, on cars, dash cams. So eventually, but the last thing you want is your company or whatever, right, to go in and go, that's the same kind of opener that we sell. I wonder if they took it from the company, or things like that. So that's why I talk about the box stores for some of those guys starting out. And like I said, it's not that a lot of people don't want you to make money, business owners and stuff like that. It's that it gets to be blurry, right? Because then it starts turning in, hey, can I use the service vehicle? And in my opinion, it's like, hey, it's not that I don't want you to use the service vehicle, but now that you're out on a weekend, you get in a car accident, I'm on a boat enjoying time with my family, and I got to deal with an officer saying, hey, we got an accident here. There's been a death. And now it's you see where this kind of goes. Insurance and stuff can start going up, and you know where this goes. So just things to consider. But like I said, if you got a family, you definitely got to consider that when you go out on your own. It's very unstable. I was talking to the wife the other day about it, and we were talking about probably having about $30,000 to $50,000 in the bank account just to start out. If I was to start out to this day, I started out probably with $1,000, and it was the hardest. It wasn't even 5 years. It was probably 8 years into the business, up and down, up and down. And the thing is when you go into business, you're done. You don't show a payroll anymore, right? Or an income. So basically, in a nutshell, the banks don't want to lend to you. So you got to figure all that stuff out too, so that's why it's really tough. You almost kind of got to start doing something on the side a little bit, and it's going to take years, and you got to make sure you got the discipline to do it for many, many, many years. And that's what you want to do. I really think in my heart, I tell you, it's better to network. So if you got a previous owner that's getting out of it, that's selling the business or something like that, and that's somebody you can unite with, and explain to them the situation, right? Because most people, including myself, we have a heart, right? And we understand the struggles of life. We really do. I think for business owners, it's even harder because we get both sides of the fence. We've been on the employee side, we've been on the owner side, and it's kind of like they say, the grass isn't always greener. But if you can sympathize and you can work with somebody, that's so important because I look at the team here at Affordable, Door and Gate, great team, but it's taken so many years to find these wonderful, great people that, like I've said before, and it's nothing to say bad things. It's just for what the effort was. I don't know if I would go back down that rabbit hole. I might do more real estate. And so I take my money and invest it with bigger numbers, stuff that you can take loans against, stuff that you can use debt, good debt, not bad debt, instead of all these depreciating assets, these vehicles that wear out, that rust away, these trailers that get infested with mice that are chewing these soy wires because the government wants better environmental standards, things of that nature. So you might want to consider too, if you get your business, it doesn't hurt to get, and this is why I've used it loosely. And I've talked to, I believe it was Tony. Tony's a great guy here, that part of the community. And we've talked about this where in business, yes, it's good to have your name on there. That's great. It tells people what you're doing. But there's also a caveat where I look at it and I go, I kind of like, because it takes so long in the LLC and the process and the legal part of it and the IRS and all that, getting everything established and finally getting it, that maybe you wanted to call it an enterprise. Because maybe you decide, you know what, I don't really want to do this anymore. I want to sell trailers. I want to sell campers, or I want to sell tires. I don't know, used tires. But either way, if you have your LLC of some sort, you become where you can be a 1099 contractor. And so maybe for this company, you could say, hey, look, I do really good work. I'm a very valuable employee for you. I've never stole. I've been very honest about what my actions are. I'd still like to work for you. Hey, could I work as a subcontractor? Because I know right now, like with Affordable Door and Gate, if we had subcontractors coming in and they do good work, you're hired. Because it's hard enough to babysit people and then to give them a vehicle, to trust that they're going to take care of it, not abuse it, to waste time, all these things where if you can subcontract and you can give somebody X amount of dollars and they go do a good job and they work as a neutral, like you're not out there trying to steal the business in a sense. Maybe you just drive a neutral vehicle, right? A completely white vehicle, a complete red vehicle like here, like my red van, that I didn't have stickers on it. I was neutral. But you go out there, you do a good job. You say, yes, customer, this is through blah, blah, blah. Maybe you wear a shirt, a hat that represents the company. And you work like that, and you got your stuff that you're still doing. You got stuff after hours or a couple days out or on the weekend or stuff like that. Like I said, it's really tough. I mean, you got to hustle and you got to grind like a mother. But that's just something as an option to be able maybe to have that where you go, hey, I'm all legit. All I got to do is fire up my insurance. I already know who I got to call. They already approved me for it. I can get started. But are you willing to do this? And how much work could you possibly give me? Because everything's not a guarantee. And they say we could probably give you maybe 2 or 3 jobs a week. And you go, that's perfect. That's what I want. And you might be able to go to another company and do the same thing. So it's just something to think about. Okay, and a couple things on the kids subject. This is personal. This is just my opinion, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I have thought about it when I was younger, starting out the business. I did have this envision one time that I told myself this will be something I could, hand down to my kids, the business. And then I literally came across a black gentleman that changed my mind on it for some reason. He's a very successful black man. He's a nice guy. I met him doing the garage doors, and he had real estate. And he went to tell me that, he said, my daddy was very smart. I said, well, why is that? And he says, well, he said he had, I think, around 28 rental homes when he passed away. And he said he handed them over to us children. He says there's 3 of us. I think he had maybe 1 sister and there was 2 brothers. He was one of the brothers. And he said they don't want nothing to do with it. He says, so I ended up taking it over. I said, let me pay down what their value would be, and I can run them. And so he still does to this day. He runs actually more than the 28. He bought more in the future. And I thought to myself, the real estate is where the wealth is, in a sense. The money, the business is a cash flow entity. It's a pass-through entity. The real estate's where the money is, because you can borrow against it. You can take a second mortgage on it. It's one of those things that, think about in your life, what's always been there, right? The cars have come and gone. Daddy used to have a truck. He had a 1960 Chevy, blah, all that stuff. But the house is typically there unless it burns down or something, casualty, or they tear it down. But the houses are always here. You know what I mean? And so what I'm saying is that's long-term wealth is what I'm trying to explain. So you have to understand too that with your kids, they might not be interested in it. You might kind of strong arm them into it of some degree too. And depending on what you have, girls or boys, it's a hard thing. I've seen a lot of businesses in my local town that when the dad passed away, The brothers took it over and they ran them into the ground. They spent a bunch of money, thought they were millionaires, buy a bigger building, and it just flops. Where maybe you can put it in a trust for the real estate, stuff of that nature. Just something to consider. Yes, in that last clip, there was an air conditioner in my back of my truck. I had a generator that ran it. I'm poor. I'm still poor, and I'm always going to be poor. Because once you change your mindset and you can lower your living standards, life becomes a lot easier when you realize the game is rigged. Not that you shouldn't have a luscious lifestyle. But here's some of the sacrifices, right? For instance, today, my wonderful family are going tubing today. My health is not that good. You can't see it on camera, but I'm actually sweating profusely, and I'm actually in pain. The reason being is I did a job for a fence job, and I overlifted something combined with a cold/flu or something that I have. It put me down for about 3 or 4 days now. I'm just starting to feel better, but these are the things that you have to sacrifice. I ended up working until 10:30 at night. Hurrah, right? It's great being a business owner. Hurrah. Those are the real life scenarios, though. You know what I mean? If you work for a normal job, you work 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever the time is, you go home, you don't worry about it, you enjoy your family. When you run business, you're thinking business all the time. You got trucks to fix, you got things that need to be cleaned, you got things that need to be organized, you got product to get ordered. You're doing it all, buddy. So you got many, many, many different hats to wear. So that's just kind of my insight. Not to be negative, there is pros, there's tax advantages. Yes, you think you can do your agenda a little bit, but my dad said it once and he said it right. He says it's not that now that that you don't have any bosses, now you just have many bosses. So I would definitely have to agree with that because you have to take care of the customers. The customers are your bosses, and some of them are picky, some of them are nice, and some of them you just want them to go away. Sorry, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for being here. Please put comments below about business and stuff or anything related to the video that you want to add in. Don't be afraid. We're here as a community to learn. I learn a ton from you guys. I love hearing your comments. I read every one of them. I enjoy them very much. And I try to get back to them and stuff like that. So, and plus, thank you for the email. It definitely helped spike the stuff in my brain, and it was a great conversation to have with the wife and a great video to make. So thank you for that. So if you guys wouldn't mind, like I said, subscribe, like the video before you leave, and otherwise, you leave me an email if you want. You can always email me at daveadubson@gmail.com. I typically put it in the description below. And otherwise, some of you got my phone number. You can always text me at the 231-720-9675. Just remember, you're not going to wake me up or disturb me because my phone's always on silent. And so if I just don't get back to you, it's because I'm a busy man. And I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.